You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What's going on, gang? Are you not entertained? What is going on? Bienvenue à Bleu, Blanc, Rouge, Nuit. Welcome to Habs After Dark, everybody. My name is Devin, and we're here to talk about another huge win for the Montreal Canadiens. An enormous victory for the team. I don't know how to explain it any more than that. It's a 3-2 overtime win. They pulled a victory from the mouth of defeat, the jaws of defeat. The game was just about dead and buried, and Nick Suzuki, Captain Clutch, pulled it out when everything looked like there was no hope. He scores the game-tying goal with 9 seconds left, and then scores the overtime winner 29 seconds into the overtime period. It doesn't get a whole lot more exciting than that. It doesn't get a whole lot more clutch than that. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that. And the Canadiens maintain their wild card spot, the second wild card spot. They now have 79 points in 74 games, and they sit 2 points ahead of the Blue Jackets and the Rangers, with the Blue Jackets holding a game in hand. So yeah, that is as big a win as you're going to see from the Montreal Canadiens in a long time. Antoine is here. We got the win in the dying seconds. Unbelievable. Asim Hudson with another 3 points. And Randy N. What a game. You've got to believe. Absolutely, guys. It is exciting time to be a Montreal Canadiens fan, especially for you younger guys who probably haven't seen, other than that COVID bubble playoff run, you probably haven't seen the Canadiens in a scenario like this. But it is exciting when the Canadiens are in the playoffs in April and May. There is no better place in the world to be than Montreal. It's an exciting place. The city, there's an electricity in the city that you have to be there to experience and to understand, and it's a great place to be. It's a great place to be, and yeah, I mean the patios are all open, the terraces as they call them in Montreal. Game night is just, like I said, there's a special feeling in a city like Montreal when the Montreal Canadiens are in contention this late in the season, and if they're able to make it to the playoffs, it's going to be a really, really fun place to be. And for some reason, RDS has the clown of all clowns, Gilbert Delorme, on their post-game show. I can't even look at this guy's face. He's such an embarrassment to the Montreal Canadiens and to broadcasting in general. Columbus wins and Islanders are losing so far. Yes, that's correct. Habs flags on cars in spring is magical. Yeah, it's just, again, I don't live in Montreal anymore. I did. But again, like when it's springtime and the Canadiens are, in a playoff position or playing in the playoffs, there's just a feeling around the city that you don't really understand unless you've experienced it. It's a really special place to be. Like I said, it's amazing place to be. I don't know. I have the volume turned off, Randy, and I literally can't look at his face. I think he's a horrible human being. The commentary that he's given about Patrick Laine over the last few weeks is just disgraceful. He's a horrible, horrible person. And for him to be speaking the way he does, given the disaster of an NHL career that he had, it's kind of embarrassing, quite frankly, to hear Gilbert Delorme talking at all on the air. And the fact that RDS gives him a microphone is terrible. What's up, Entertap? Can't underestimate the value of winning this game in the fashion they did. Go Habs, go! Yes, the psychological component of this win will be important as well, right? To win in this fashion, this is So again, the Canadiens have talked about playing meaningful games at this time of the year. And the reason they want to play meaningful games at this time of the year is because of the experiences that playing these meaningful games affords them, right? And this is the kind of experience that they all want to have, right? You want every young player in your organization to experience what the Montreal Canadiens just experienced, right? You want them to experience a game where, all appears to be lost and they're able to clutch up against the, defending Stanley Cup champions and score a late goal to tie it and then to score an overtime game to win it. The emotional feeling of that and the psychological impact of that is something that you want all of your young players to know and to feel and to experience, right? Because that's something that they will take with them for the rest of their careers, right? That'll be something that they'll have in their back pocket for as long as they play hockey. They'll remember that. This will be a game that they'll remember. That'll be a feeling that they remember, and that'll be, psychologically an emotion that they can, carry with them. If ever they get in the similar situation where they need to feel a little bit of hope late in a game, where they need to feel like they're not out of a game despite things looking like they're not going their way. This is something they'll be able to go back to and to point to and to remember and to use as they continue to move forward, whether it's this year, next year, or the year after that. This is the kind of game that they can use to make them better hockey players. Lessons in winning, right? This is another winning lesson. Never give up. Throw the puck towards the net. You can say all you want about Lane Hutson, and that was probably one of his least spectacular assists of the year, but he was intelligent enough to throw the puck at the net and realize that anything could happen. And it did, right? And there's a lot of veteran hockey players in the NHL who don't have that sense or that IQ that Lane Hutson showed on that play tonight. Izzy, come on, let's go. Yes, absolutely. It's a happy night in Habs land tonight. There's still some work to do. I believe there's 8 games left in the season. They are holding onto that last wildcard spot by the skin of their teeth. The schedule gets a little bit easier now, with this being probably the hardest game left on their schedule. Now they've swept the Florida Panthers. Giving up the extra point to Florida doesn't really matter. Nobody really cares. Slav 20, that Hutson character is the real deal. Better than Hughes. He's on a trajectory to be in that discussion, I would say. I'm not sure I'm prepared to give him that mantle just yet. I think there's still work to be done. But certainly what he's done so far in his NHL career is pretty historical and pretty special, right? Tonight he became I think he's all alone now in 7th place for all-time rookie defenseman scoring. He became the first rookie defenseman to score 60 points since 1991-92 when Nicholas Lidstrom did it. So he's entering into some pretty rarefied air as far as his accomplishments go. I believe the people who have more points as rookie defensemen in the history of the NHL are Bourque, Housley. Let me see. I had done a Blue Sky post about it. Let's see who we got here. Larry Murphy, Brian Leach, Gary Suter, Phil Housley, Raymond Bourque, and Chris Chelios. Those are the only players in the entire history of the entire NHL who scored more points as rookie defensemen in the NHL. So that's pretty special. That's pretty special place to be for a 21-year-old kid. The Panthers are extremely tough to play against once they go in defensive mode, as the 4 shots on goal and the third shows. Yeah, they're a very good hockey team, right? They're a veteran team. They're experienced in winning. They know how to win. They have winning habits, and they're pretty good at it. And tonight, the Canadiens weathered that storm, and they didn't give up, and they continued to push and push and push and push and push, and they finally got their opportunity at the very end of the game. You're praying that the Habs make the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't make the playoffs. But again, I think the the fact that they're doing the things that they're doing right now are certainly a huge positive. Do I know Tony Marinaro? I've met him once. I don't know him personally. Um, yeah, I don't know what you're asking me about him. I have mixed feelings about Tony Marinaro. I think he, in some ways, is very good, and in some ways, I think he's very bad. Montreal should unite Cole Hudson with Lane. Well, Cole Hudson's been drafted by the Washington Capitals. I don't expect that they're going to have much interest in letting him go anywhere. I take your point. However, I don't know that the Canadiens. I mean, I don't know that you want to have two defensemen of that stature on your team. I mean, obviously, if Cole Hudson is anywhere as near what his brother brings, then obviously any team in the NHL would take that. But I think one of the big things that we're learning about Lane Hudson is that I think he's going to end up being pretty capable defensively too, and that he's not going to be a one-man, or a one-trick pony, and that he's going to be all offense, and that his defense is going to be a detriment. Yeah, there's always a price, but again, I don't know that it's a priority for the Canadiens. Slav 20. I don't know that it's a priority for them to bring in another young defenseman at this stage. Um, Nothing is easy. Take nothing for granted. Absolutely, and that's what they did, right? They never gave up. They continued to push. Um, yeah, this is what you do. Would I want Fowler, Demidov, and Kapanen from 3-1? Who would I want to join Montreal in the playoffs? Well, Fowler is not likely to join the Canadiens in the playoffs. Demidov is definitely not going to join the Canadiens in the playoffs. Kapanen's the only one that there's a real possibility of it. I don't really see any of those guys. I think I think Fowler and Kapanen, there's a chance they could be playing in Laval. Demidov won't be coming over. I wouldn't expect until the Canadian season is well over. So I don't know. As far as who would I want, I mean, I don't know. Like again, it doesn't really matter. I don't know that the Canadiens are looking to mix up their roster in any great degree heading into the playoffs if they're able to make it. A team: Suzuki, Hudson, Gooley, and Monty. You have 2 of 4. You got 2 of 4. Enter tap. Brandon Neiman, what's going on, pal? Good to see you again. Suzuki, yes, Suzuki with quite the performance, quite the captain performance from Nick Suzuki. Can we stop allowing the opposition to enter the zone freely into the face-off circle too many times? Okay, I'm not sure exactly what you're getting at there, Randy. I mean, I think obviously that we obviously would. The Canadiens are. I think they would probably agree with that sentiment, that they would prefer not to have the other team enter the zone freely. I think that's probably something that they try to limit as best they can. I'm not sure that I see that number being higher than normal tonight. I'm not sure. Big win. What a game. Absolutely, Chris. Dvorak line played really well today. Anderson and Galley. Yes, Anderson and Galley did play really well tonight. Dvorak maybe not quite as much, but that line was pretty good. Gallagher in particular had a pretty good night. Gallagher's Expected goals percentage tonight was almost 80%, second best on the team behind Jaden Struble. Yes. The standings are so interesting each night now. Yes, it is fun to watch the standings. Again, I'm perhaps different than a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans in that I'm not sort of living and dying by whether they make the playoffs or not. I don't think it's going to be, the make or break of this season. I don't think that the success of this season will be measured on whether they actually make the playoffs. I think at this stage, because they've gotten as close as they have, it'll obviously there'll be a sense of disappointment if they don't make the playoffs. From a fan perspective, but at the end of the day, I think that regardless of how things pan out these last 8 games of the season, there's no way to view this season as anything other than a success, right? Whether it's on the development side of things, whether it's on the fact that they've surpassed perhaps where anybody expected them to be at this stage of the rebuild, whether it's the fact that they had the opportunity to play meaningful games in March and April, whether it's the development of individual players, guys who've, stepped their game up to another level, i.e., Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Caden Gooley, obviously the addition of Lane Hudson and what he's turned out to be. So all of those things I think are positives. I think there are very few negatives. I think maybe perhaps the Kirby Dach was a bit of a disappointment as far as what he was able to bring this year. Patrick Laine was certainly a positive. Patrick Laine has done everything you could have possibly expected from him, especially considering the early season injury. So again, I don't know that making the playoffs is going to be what defines the success or failure of this season. There's going to be a lot more to base that decision on, or that assessment on, than whether they make the playoffs or not. That's just my take. I hope the Leafs can hold first place in the season. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. You mean first place in their conference, right, or in their division? Yeah. Again, I have no real feelings either way about the Leafs, to be quite honest with you. I don't have any ill feeling towards the Leafs. I think their roster is probably better constructed going into the playoffs this year than it has been in past years. I think that they still have a monkey to get off their back as far as the playoffs are concerned, right? They've certainly had good regular seasons before, but it's going to be a matter of whether or not they can bring that to the playoffs, and whether or not their top players can perform at the next at that level. What's going on, Nicholas? Great to see you. It's great to see you again. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if Coach is still yammering on over there or not, or if he's still carrying on, or he's ended his show. But if he's still going and you've popped over, I appreciate you for doing that. I appreciate it either way, to be honest with you. The core four is too soft for playoffs. I disagree with that, Chris. I don't think they're too soft. I don't. That's the narrative that's widely spread, which I don't buy. I don't. Again, to me, the issue is more the people that they've surrounded those guys with. I don't think you need to be, some sort of rugged monster to play in the playoffs, right? There's obviously going to be different types of players on every team. Every Stanley Cup winning team has guys who are rough and tumble and rugged and strong and tough and big and physical, and then they've got other guys who aren't. It's just a nature. Was Wayne Gretzky soft? Yeah, probably. But guess what? They surrounded him with guys who weren't. So I don't buy the Marner, Matthews, Nylander. I don't buy they're too soft business. It's not really a narrative that I've bought into. What's up, Larry? Great to see you, man. As always, I appreciate it. I hope things are well in Arizona. I'm sure the weather is fantastic. The Toronto Raptors, 137 loss to 118. The Chicago, I almost said the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bulls with the victory over the Raptors tonight. Marty St. Louis is currently being interviewed after the game. He came in all smiles. He seems to be pretty happy about tonight's game. Yeah. What do we think about the game, guys? Do we have any comments? You guys seem pretty quiet here. We have only 6 people in the show. I assume that Coach is probably still going with his show, so I think maybe things will pick up a little bit once his show ends. Just making the rounds and hitting the likes. Company here this week. Oh, nice. Nice. Always nice to have some company. Nice to have some visitors. The Blue Jays won 5-3. I don't follow the Blue Jays really that closely. The only reason I even got the Raptor score is because it just popped up on my phone. RDS doesn't really do a ticker on the bottom of their screen anymore like they used to, so I'm not getting the scores that way either. Radomir Smiljanek, welcome. I think you're new here. I appreciate it. What a game tonight for the Habs. Pure heart and effort shown. Yeah, I agree with you. Very big character win for Montreal tonight. As I said earlier, this is the kind of game that you want to see them play. I think the emotional and psychological impact of a win like this is huge, right? The manner in which they won is almost important as the fact that they did win tonight, and the lesson that they would have learned from this game is pretty important, right? The idea that you never give up, and that no matter how late in the game it gets and how far it appears that you are from being able to win, if you keep pounding away, eventually you're gonna get something there. By the way, another thing to add there, I know that the final goal didn't end up being into the Canadiens' net wasn't empty when they scored that final goal, but Lane Hutson has been on the ice this year for 12 empty net goals against, right? So if you look at his plus minus, he's a minus 12 when it comes to empty net scenarios. And it would have been interesting to see him actually be on the ice for a goal 4 with the net empty, but I don't believe that Montembeault was able to get out of the net in time for that to be considered an empty net goal. I don't think that's. I don't think it, unless they changed it on the. It's not listed as an empty net goal on the NHL website. Golfing all week with your son and son-in-law. Awesome, Larry. That sounds like a great time. I have 5 Habs in my fantasy pool, and they are all clicking. Gotta love it. Yes. I'm not really into the fantasy stuff so much, but yeah, I'm happy that the 5 Habs in your fantasy pool are doing well as well. I suspect that regardless of the final result tonight, the analytics will show much stronger for Florida than Montreal. Let's have a look. Yeah, we're going to get there, Entertap. Give me a second here. They do. You're right. Certainly as far as the Corsi and the Fenwick go, they definitely favor the Florida Panthers. Very similar, actually, to the game on Sunday afternoon. They didn't give up in the dying seconds. That's character. Absolutely, they didn't give up. They kept pushing. Lane Hutson. That lesson that we've all been taught, or you hear it all the time, right? If everything else fails, just throw the puck at the net, right? Just throw the puck at the goal, and good things will happen. And Lane Hutson, the second youngest player on the team, showed the maturity to understand that with 10 seconds left in the game, and he, in a bit of a fumbly situation at the blue line, he just throws the puck at the net, and it worked out. Did I see the graphic of Hudson's plus minus I sent to the group chat today? I did. Yeah, I'd seen it before, Entertap. I knew that he had a lot of empty net goals against, but yeah, it's a pretty wild number when you think about it. How it changes your. It should change your perspective on Lane Hudson's ability to play defense. What's up, Billy D? What's going on? I missed the game, but a win is great. Absolutely, Gary. You missed a great game. You should watch the replay. As soon as they get this clown Gilbert Delorme off of RDS, you should turn RDS on and watch the replay of the game. Bonjour, Claude. What a sweet win. Yes, go Habs, go. I believe. Yeah, I think we're all feeling pretty good about the Canadiens right now. I think it's a pretty good spot to be. Let's have a look at the scoreboard, guys. Enter tap with the segue there a minute ago. Of course, you see a 3-2 victory for the Montreal Canadiens in overtime. We'll of course talk about Nick Suzuki's heroics in the final seconds of the regulation and in the overtime. What's up, James Castanis? Welcome. Lane is such a special player. What a steal at 62nd. Can't wait to see his game grow and how he helps shape the core. 100%, Radomir. I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. And I think that's a sentiment that a lot of Canadiens fans would be wise to sort of adopt. Right, the idea that these guys are going to be a really, really fun bunch to watch, and it's going to be fun to see them develop. It's going to be fun to see them grow, and it's going to be fun to see them mature into a competitive hockey team as the years go by. Huge win, James. Huge win. All right, so guys, before we get to the Nick Suzuki heroics, obviously early in the game, we have a goal from Josh Anderson on a deflection in front of the net on a Caden Gooley shot. Gooley and Hudson with the assist. Hudson's 55th assist and 60th point of the season. That made him the first rookie defenseman in the NHL to register 60 points since Nicholas Lidstrom did the same thing in 1992. So nearly 35 years, Lane Hudson is breaking records. He also tied for 7th all-time for most points by a rookie defenseman in NHL history. With that point, the Panthers come back midway through the period on a goal from Nico Mikkola, public enemy number 1, of course. But Mikkola scores a bit of a weird one on a deflection from Anton Lundell at 10:37. The score is tied after one period, 1-1. The only goal of the second period came late from Maki Samoskevich, a power play goal from Seth Jones, 18:47. Again, the referees were pretty horrendous in the last few minutes of that second period. They called a bit of a phantom call on Uri Slavkovsky. Then they just swallowed their whistle when Seth Jones hauled down Jake Evans on a one-on-one opportunity, shorthanded, which absolutely 100% was a penalty. And then about 20 seconds later, Seth Jones comes down the other end and sets up Samoskevich for the goal that gave the Panthers a 2-1 lead. And that was the lead they had through 2 periods, and then pretty much through the entire third period, they went into their defensive shell, right? The very experienced veteran hockey team, they went into their shell, and they were able to shut things down on Montreal. I think Entertap pointed out that the Canadiens only had 3 shots on goal, I believe, in the third period. But the Canadiens didn't give up. They didn't give up, and they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. They pulled their goalie, and then they had a bit of an unfortunate play. Mike Matheson made a really, really poor pass back to the point that split the Canadiens' defenseman and went all the way down into the other end. And then on the breakout, coming back the other way with about 30 seconds left, Patrick Laine missed his pass and ended up going for an icing. And so the Canadiens, with about 30 seconds left in the game, had a face-off in their own zone. They had to put Montembeault back in the net. But they were able to win that draw and get the puck out of their end. They were able to get down to the other end, and Lane Hudson ended up with the puck at the blue line along the boards. Fumbled the puck a little bit. Looked like he was going to be in a little bit of trouble. There was some pressure on him, and he just was smart enough just to fire the puck towards the net. And the Panthers defender tried to stop it. And wasn't able to do so, and the puck deflected right to Nick Suzuki, who was standing at the side of the net. And he really didn't have much to do. All he had to do was just put the puck into the empty goal, and he was able to do that. And the score was tied with 9 seconds left in the game. That was Slavkovsky's 30th assist of the season. And Hudson with his 56th assist of the season. That was 62 points for Lane Hudson. So he is moving his way up to, I think 64 is the next player that he needs to pass in order to get to the next level on the all-time defensive scoring. I think if he gets to 64, I believe there's 2 players tied at 64. And if he gets there, then I believe he'll end up in a tie for 5th all-time amongst rookie defensemen for points in your rookie season. And don't look now, guys. By the way, Juraj Slavkovsky now has 46 points in 70 games. So he is only 4 points behind his pace from last year. In fact, I believe he actually might have more than that because I don't know that this includes his points from tonight's game. So let me just check that just to be absolutely certain. 30th assist. So he actually has 47 points. Maybe 48. Did he get an assist in the first goal? No. He has 47 points. So he's only 3 points off his pace from last year. So, the conversation about Slavkovsky being a bust is still perhaps a little premature. So if you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over and join us on YT. We're doing a live show on YT. You can check out the scoreboard. You can check out the graphics, and you can get the full experience of the show. We can certainly answer your questions over here. Right now, Lane Hudson should be the runaway winner of the Rookie of the Year. Not sure about runaway rookie, but I do think he's definitely been the best rookie in the NHL this year. And he certainly is putting on a run here at the end of the season to certainly put an exclamation point on his candidacy. Next game, Bruins, do you think they could win this game? Absolutely. I think they can win any game right now. Nat, Florida is cooked. Bank, another loss for them tomorrow, starring you-know-who. Thank you from Toronto. Anytime, Trevor. Anytime. So let's look at some of the advanced numbers from the game tonight, guys. As Entertap pointed out, they don't really favor the Canadiens in any real way. The shots, of course, were 27-21 in favor of Florida. The Canadiens did lead the shots on goal early in the game, but Florida certainly shut things down in the third period. The Corsi was 70-49 in favor of Florida and 49-33 on the Fenwick. So again, possession numbers appear to favor Florida, as you might expect. They did carry certainly a lot of the play, especially in that third period. That is their game, right? Their game is a possession game. They are, one of the best in the league at that. It's probably pretty rare. It's probably pretty rare for them to have a game where they don't lead the Corsi and the Fenwick stats. High danger scoring chances obviously a lot closer, only 10-9 in favor of Florida. The expected goals were 3.27 to 2.08, perhaps a little more of a gap there than I would have expected. I guess I didn't even talk about the overtime goal, guys. I apologize. The overtime goal from Nick Suzuki. He wins the face-off, Dvorak wins the face-off, gets the puck back. Dvorak gets off the ice. Caulfield joins Suzuki and Hudson, and they go down the other end, and they do a couple of Harlem Globetrotter weave type things in the Florida zone, and then Suzuki drives to the net, and it looks like he might have a chance to take a shot. He chooses not to, goes behind the net, and Vanacek was a little slow, and I don't know whether Suzuki had already planned to try the wraparound or whether he decided when he saw Vanacek moving slowly. But either way, he was able to get around the net and to the far post well before Vanacek, and he was able to put the puck in the net, and that was all she wrote. That was the overtime winner. The crowd goes wild. Nick Suzuki is named the first star at the Bell Center, and the noise and the atmosphere and all of that I think plays into the psychological and emotional benefit of winning a game like that. Mula, what's up? Go Habs, go. Yes, Mega Mike, incroyable à 9 secondes d'être en tabarnak. Oui, c'est correct. Les Canadiens ont gagné le match après un but à 9 secondes de la fin de la match de Nick Suzuki. C'était un but, je ne sais pas le mot en français pour clutch, mais it was a clutch goal. A very, very clutch goal from your captain. C'est une chose que tu voudrais voir de ton capitaine. Il prend contrôle de la situation, il compte le but égalisateur et aussi le but gagnant en prolongation. All right, let's see what we got here. Icing with 27 seconds left and they tie the game. That was special. Absolutely, right? Never give up. Never give up, Billy D. The icing. The missed pass by Matheson to the point, and then the missed pass from Laine that leads to the icing, and then they're able to recover and get the puck back into the offensive zone. Wait till Demidov comes. Absolutely, Demidov's another addition, right? We'll see what he's able to bring to the lineup next year. There's all kinds of young prospects coming our way, and not all of them are going to be, superstars, and not all of them are going to, even make it, right? But that's part of a rebuild, right? The first stage of the rebuild is to gather assets, to go out and focus on the draft and focus on scouting and bring players in, and then the next stage is to develop and make sure that you have the right coaches and everybody in place. 100%. And Demidov is one of those guys. Reinbacher is one of those guys. Mailloux is one of those guys. Beck is one of those guys. Kapanen is one of those guys. A little bit later down the road, you got Hage and Fowler, who could be those guys. And, there's just all kinds of guys who could come up and become part of this organization and part of a winning team. So I think we should look forward to that. Habby says never would have happened without Hudson. I agree. Hudson has been a fantastic player and a huge part of this team. Again, if you're looking at this season and the positives to take out of this season, I think the development of Lane Hudson and what he's been able to do this season is, certainly got to be at the top of the list of those positive things. Scotty B, great win tonight, great story this season. Unfortunately, they stand no chance against the Capitals. Okay, I don't agree with that, but obviously they're going to be huge underdogs if they play the Capitals in the first round of the playoffs. Whether they stand a chance or not, that'll remain to be seen. We'll see what happens. Cheers on the win, Habs fans from Leafs fans. Leafs fans really love the Habs right now. The Canadiens are putting a roadblock in front of the Florida Panthers in their efforts to move ahead of the Maple Leafs in the standings. So I guess we can be proud of that, I guess. Alain is going full blast to the Calder. He's absolutely, Claude. He's putting an exclamation mark on his candidacy for it. If there was any question, Michkov's been on a bit of a run lately, and maybe people were sort of wondering or doubting whether or not he deserved the Calder, but he certainly is making his case in a pretty strong way over the last little while. He's playing. His game just continues to get better and better and better and better, right? It's, there was a bit of a lull there sort of right before the end of the Four Nations break, but, other than that, it's been pretty steady and solid. Kudos to Monty when you think about it, given the analytics there, kept him in the match all night despite 2 deflected allowed goals. Yeah, I agree. I thought Montembeault played a good game. I thought that both of those goals were tough ones. I think there's probably different ways to look at those goals and whether or not you can really blame him for them. I think it's pretty tough to blame him for those goals. Maybe you would want him to be a little bit more patient, but again, I'm not. I think it's pretty hard to blame him for those goals. But as I've always said all along with Montembeault, his greatest skill and his greatest talent is that he makes the right saves at the right time. He rarely puts the team in a bad spot, and he, usually gives them an opportunity to win. And that's, again, he's not going to be a 940 save percentage guy, but, he's going to be a guy who gives you a chance to win on most nights. Lane did that in the NCAA with Leach's record, then beat his own in his second season, and he will continue to do this as his career goes. Yeah, again, that's one of the things that's, as you said earlier, Radomir, you're excited to see how he develops and what he turns into. And the reason for that is because he just continues to push the envelope, right? He continues every time you think he's done the most amazing thing you could possibly see, he does something else, right? Just when you think that, okay, well, he's plateaued off a little bit here, and this is maybe where he kind of starts to slow down or whatever, he just turns it up, to another gear, whether it's on the offensive side of things or the defensive side of things, right? It's just been special to watch. You think that he's gone as far as he can, and he starts getting into certain categories where he's now putting his name alongside names like Nicholas Lidstrom and Raymond Bourque and Phil Housley and Brian Leach, all these names, and it's like, oh my God, like where does this where does this stop? I've seen enough give Hudson the Norris. Hudson entered the Calder race tonight. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to give him the Norris. Do I think he could get a vote or two for the Norris? I think he probably could. I know I listened to Elliot Friedman the other day, and he talked about his choices for the Norris. And one of the choices that he had on his top 5 was Jake Sanderson. And there's no planet in this solar system where Jake Sanderson is as good a defenseman as Lane Hudson. I don't care what any Ottawa Senator fan has to say about that. There's no chance. Like, Lane Hudson is a far superior defenseman to Jake Sanderson. Come at me, try your best, make your best arguments. I will make that argument with you every day, twice on Sunday. I will go on and on. Like there's no way you will ever convince me that Jake Sanderson is anywhere near the defenseman that Lane Hudson is already. And Lane Hudson is what? Sanderson's in his 4th year in the NHL, 3rd year in the NHL. Second half Slav, yes. Hopefully that is something that he can get a little bit of consistency with. If he can play 2 half seasons the way he has played each of the second halves of the last 2 years in one season, we're looking at close to a point per game guy, right? So hopefully, as he matures and develops, that he can become that guy. Line A fumbles passes so often, something he needs to work on, especially with his talent. Yeah. I don't know if I would say so often. I think he's probably still a little rusty. He hasn't played a lot of hockey in the last couple of years, right? So, but you're right. It is something he could work on. But again, I think I don't think it's the end of the world for me. I think the positives certainly outweigh the negatives with Patrick Laine for me. Yes, 62 points in his rookie year. Yes. What's up, Kevin Carswell? Robert Ross, what's going on? If you're over on TikTok, guys, feel free to pop on over to YT. We would love to have you join our community on YT. We're trying to get more people over here. We're trying to grow a community where, we can have good chats after the game and on Wednesday evenings with Habs Therapy Day. So yeah, we would certainly love for you guys to pop over here and subscribe. If you're over here watching on YT right now and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Hit that button. It's just here below the screen. You can also hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying what you're seeing. If you're watching in a replay, same applies. We would love to have more people. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. It's a bit of a slow go, but we're working our way closer and closer. And like I said, if you're over on TikTok and you want to come over and give us to subscribe to us over here on YT, it would be awesome. We certainly will answer your questions over on TikTok if you prefer to stay on that platform. But again, it would really, really help us if you would support us over here on YT as well. Nick is taking steps every season still and is a very solid 1C these days, low-key, becoming elite. Love it, 100%. 100%, right? He's taken that step this year to, we can assume that he's probably going to get to a point per game. He's at 78 points right now, I believe. It's not just the young players that are getting better. It's the sort of the newer veterans, I guess, if we can call them that, right? The Caulfields and the Suzukis who are, stepping their game up as well. I love when people count the Habs out. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it's always going to happen. There's always going to be fans of other teams that are never going to give the Canadians any credit, and I'm sure there's lots of Montreal Canadiens fans who don't like to give, the Leafs any credit or the Bruins any credit or whatever. But it is what it is. Again, I don't really take those fans very seriously. At the end of the day, I think those of us who follow the Canadians as closely as we do, we certainly understand what this team is capable of, and what's going on with this organization, and the development that they're undertaking. Do I think Arbor stays in Montreal next year? I do, Kevin. I do, Kevin. I'm not sure what's going on there. I mean, I do know what's going on there. I know that somebody has to sit out. I'm not sure that Arbor Jacki would have been my choice, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how things pan out with the defensive core in Montreal. I mean, obviously there's a surplus there, and there's some guys that are going to have to go, and there's some guys who are going to have to move around. But it'll be interesting to see how things pan out when guys like Reinbacher and Meilleure and Kanyushkov even and Engstrom and those guys start to get in the mix. How they who ends up sticking around, and I think it's going to be fun to see because there's going to be a battle there, right? And I think that's always a good thing, right? You're going to have guys battling for that for those spots. A lot of the RDS people are saying he won't be there next year. The people on RDS are morons, Kevin. I wouldn't take a whole lot of what is said by the French media in Montreal with any real level of, they peddle in rumor and speculation. They rarely know what they're talking about, and their stories are usually driven by their own agendas. Whether it's guys like Gilbert Delorme or Donald Brashear or I can't think of this guy's name that I'm looking at on RDS right now. This guy's one of the bigger clowns of them all, but they don't typically. They treat rumors like fact, and they express rumors like they're factual, and I wouldn't take a ton of what you hear from the guys on RDS or on BPM Sports with a whole lot of credibility. In fact, I mean, the same could be said for the guys from the Montreal Gazette. Guys like Stu Cowan and what have you as well. They're not really a whole lot better. Eric Engels is probably a go-to guy for me. Arpon Basu is usually pretty solid. Brian Weil was good, but he seems to have gone off the deep end a little bit recently. Those are sort of the guys I tend to rely on for good information regarding the Canadiens. But I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into things that you're hearing from RD. I mean, the fact that they've got Gilbert Delorme on the post-game show, I mean, that guy literally should have been fired and suspended and never allowed to hold a microphone for as long as he lives for some of the commentary and the bullshit that he spread about Patrick Laine. But yet he's on their post-game show tonight. Habs in 8th, Caps in 1st. Sounds familiar. Let's remember when that happened. It did happen. The Bell Center was ready to explode. Blues just won their 10th in a row. The Blues are really, really, really good right now. Remember when that happened before Yeep or Radomir? I was very critical of Suzuki, never doubted he was number one. Doubted his leadership, but since December, since he knows Habs have chances to compete for playoff spot, he is a different player. He's not a different player, PLW. He's not a different player. He's, the team is different. The team is different. They are playing a different game. They're young. He's different in the sense that he's, grown up. He's maturing just like everybody else on the team. There was never any question of Nick Suzuki's leadership. There really wasn't. It was only a matter of whether or not, the rest of the team was going to make it conducive for them to win. And now that they are, and, he's able to play his role because everyone else is playing their role, right? I played a lot of rugby in my life, and I can say that, one of the greatest feelings in rugby is when you're on the field with a bunch of guys who all know what they're doing, right? So when you're on the pitch with guys who are all playing their role and playing their position, and everybody's doing their job, it's such a great feeling because you don't have to worry about covering for anybody else. You're happy to cover for somebody if you have to, but again, you're not having to do it all the time. And I think that's kind of where Nick Suzuki's improvement is coming along. Is that everybody is kind of in their right chair and playing their role. Devin, what is your take on the rumor about Fowler possibly returning to Boston College for a third year? I don't think it is a huge deal. It depends, I guess, on what the reason for it is. Again, I'm not going to sort of get down too far down the road of this rumor and speculation. I think that we're probably hearing different things from different people. One of the things I've heard is that he wants to burn a year of his ELC. It would surprise me that the Canadiens would not be willing to do that. However, I don't know that it would be, I don't know how the Canadiens get him into a game right now, I guess is the hard part, right? Now, I don't know whether does he have to play a game in order to burn a year of his ELC? How does that work for him, as far as him going to Laval, like for the rest of the season? Like, I think ideally it would be a great spot for him to go and spend the rest of the season in the playoffs with Laval. I think that if he's not signing because there's a disagreement about how they go about the beginning of his career, I think that's probably not great. If the Canadiens are saying, we want to send you to Laval and you'll be, the backup in Laval to Caden Primo, and you'll get to run with them for the rest of the season and into the playoffs. And he says, well, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be on the NHL roster. I think that's probably not great. But again, I don't really envision that from what I know about the kid and what we know about the kid. So I don't know. I don't know what I think about it. If he goes back to Boston College, I don't think it's the end of the world, right? I think he can develop, there's things, I think that he probably has exhausted a lot of what he can learn at that level of hockey, but I don't know that, I don't know that it would be bad for him to go back there. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think, I think he probably would be better served to be playing in the American Hockey League next year as far as his development is concerned. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. The Montreal media is the worst, too opinionated, and would throw the baby out with the bathwater and show zero patience, so unrealistic. Yeah, I agree with that, Radomir. I think that the Montreal media is very... they like to think they know more than they actually do. And, the reality is at the end of the day, we know nothing about what goes on behind the scenes with the Montreal Canadiens, right? The reporters can get, their interviews after the game, and they can, spend 10 or 15 minutes in the dressing room after the game or whatever. But at the end of the day, they know absolutely nothing about what's really going on behind the scenes. So it's, they just pretend they know more than they actually do. And, I think that they believe that they're, I think they believe that because they're in Montreal and they're reporters, on the Montreal beat, that they somehow are on a different level. And I don't even know how to explain it. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but I woke up at 2 a.m. in Barcelona to listen to the Habs game. Good for you, Derek. That's awesome. That's awesome. Devils fan here. Hudson absolutely deserves Calder unless some miracle Wolf carries Flames to playoffs. I think that Hudson deserves the regardless of whether Wolf carries the Flames to the playoffs or not. Again, if Wolf carries the Flames to the playoffs, then he's done a great job of carrying the Flames to the playoff. But we're talking about Lane Hudson entering into historical, like I said, tonight he became the first defenseman since 1992 to score 60 points in his rookie season, like Nick Lidstrom. Right, so now he has 62 points as a rookie defenseman. The only defensemen who have had more points as a rookie in the NHL are, Phil Housley, Raymond Bourque, Brian Leach, Gary Suter, and somebody else. Chris Chelios. Larry Murphy, Brian Leach, Gary Suter, Phil Housley, Ray Bourque, and Chris Chelios. So like even if Dustin Wolf gets the Flames into the playoffs, he's not doing anything historical. Right? Like he's not making history. Lane Hutson's making history. Like Dustin Wolf is doing, spectacular things as far as this season is concerned. Lane Hutson is doing spectacular things as far as the history of hockey is concerned. And that's a different level. To me, anyway. A highlight goal from, yes, I did see it. It was a nice goal from Tage Thompson tonight, RDP. Although I will say that the defensive coverage by the Ottawa Senators was pretty pathetic on that goal. I think Fowler wants to burn the 1 year of ELC. That's the rumors, and that's usually the leverage college players have. Yeah, again, I'm not sure why the Canadiens would have any issue with that, PLW, I guess is my... I guess with goalies it may be a little bit different in that, a goal, burning a year for Lane Hutson wasn't a big deal because guess what? He's contributing at a very significant level at the NHL already. Whereas, burning a year for Jacob Fowler and then having him go to the AHL for 2 years maybe doesn't make as much sense because then he's coming out of his ELC. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make much sense. I don't know. I don't know why. Yeah. And again, I'm not sure how they burned that year of his ELC, right? Does he have to play in the game or does he just have to be on the roster? I don't know how that works. Cause it's going to be hard to get him into a game right now. Like, how do you put him in the lineup? How do you give him a start when you're, essentially in a tie for a wild card spot right now and your playoffs depend on every single win? It's Michigan Man from TikTok. Okay, I got you, Yeep. I didn't make the connection, but I do got you now. You're the only person really from Twitch that really comes on here. I don't know if you can tell if there's anybody else in the room over there. I can't really see anything over on that side. What are my thoughts on Marty St. Louis? Never really heard your take. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NHL, James. I think his progressive new approach to coaching is a breath of fresh air. I think that every team in the NHL should be paying attention. And I think that the contrast between Marty St. Louis' approach to coaching and the old school traditional ways of coaching, it's like night and day. And anybody who believes that, the John Tortorella style is still the way to go, I just don't think they understand hockey. To think that John Tortorella's style of coaching has any place, and if there's teams that are not looking to take advantage of this shift in the way professional athletes are to be coached, handled, taught, all that stuff. If you're not taking advantage of that and you're not recognizing that, I think that you're doing a major disservice to your organization and you're not taking advantage of the opportunities that are there to make your team better. What's up, Run with Kings? Not before. No, it's not, Gooch. It's 9 games before you can be sent back to junior. but it's only one game before you burn your ELC. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but you can burn your first year of your entry level contract by playing one game. Does it mean Torts will not be hired anymore? I don't know, Randy. It means he shouldn't be hired anymore. It means he absolutely he shouldn't have been hired in the first place for Philadelphia, right? I mean, all of those things that I just said, are multiplied by 100 when you're dealing with a rebuilding team, when you're dealing with young players. Then the idea of bringing in a disciplinarian type coach who refuses to communicate with his players, who sends coded messages through the media to his players, who benches guys without telling them why, who screams and yells and calls people names and all that kind of stuff. Like, if you're bringing a guy like that in to coach young players, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's just not going to work. Which is why I'm not, again, I don't. The talk of Philly now hiring Rick Tocchet makes no sense to me. Like, have they not learned their lesson? Again, I'm not putting Tocchet in the same category as Tortorella, not by a long shot. I think Tocchet's a better coach, and I think he's far more progressive than Tortorella is. No, I don't, Karma. I think that but again, like, why, if you're Philadelphia, you should be out there looking for a new young teacher to coach your team. Like, you should be looking at like David Carl or Jay Pandolfo, or there's a couple other guys. In the again, that's not to say that those guys want to leave and go to the NHL. Some of them might want to stay in the NCAA, but you want to get a young, like, the Canadiens went completely against tradition. They went completely against the grain when they brought in Marty St. Louis, right? He'd never coached above, the bantam level, no experience coaching the NHL, but like, they liked his philosophies, they liked his experience as a player. And again, it's, it might sound a little wishy-washy, but if you listen to Kent Hughes talk about it, he says he liked his emotional intelligence, right? His ability to deal with other people, his ability to teach, his ability to relate to the players, the ability to create an atmosphere where players enjoyed what they were doing, and all that stuff. I think all of that stuff is far more important than the coaches who develop players by punishing them. They develop them through fear, and they develop them through if you make a mistake, you're going to get benched, or if you all of this stuff, right? If you remember in the first couple years, when Marty St. Louis first, his philosophy was, if you make a mistake, I'm going to put you right back out there, right? He knew he was coaching young players, and he didn't want to develop a bunch of guys who were, skating around on eggshells, petrified to make a mistake because they get stapled to the bench. So, he knew that and again, it gave Montreal the opportunity to keep a lot of their young players at the NHL level, right? Rather than have to send them down to the American Hockey League, they could learn and they could develop at the NHL level because they had a coach that was capable of doing that. Right? Like, you're looking at, Chicago, who, kept until recently kept all of their young prospects down at the American Hockey League level, when they should have been at the NHL level, playing together, building chemistry together, building an environment and atmosphere, and learning at the NHL level. But they didn't have the coach for it, and they didn't have, like, I don't know. It's just the question was, what do I think of Marty St. Louis as a coach? And I think he's a huge part of this rebuild, and I think he's an excellent coach. A player doesn't accrue a completed season for the purposes of free agency, salary arbitration eligibility, or expansion protection until he has played 10 games in a season. But for the purpose of burning a year of the ELC, one game is all it takes. Yes. Again, I would ask the question, do you have to actually play in the game, or do you just have to be in the roster? So would Fowler be able to be the backup goalie? And would that count towards burning his ELC? My sense is that it would, but I don't know for sure. He has an expiration date. You're talking about Tortorella? Yes. I mean, his expiration date is expired. Players get sick of him after a while, though, but very effective in the he's not very effective in the first year or two, Gooch. Maybe if you've got a team that is like on the verge of winning a cup, and you need to bring a guy in who can maybe push them over the edge for a year or half a year, maybe. But even then, like, I think that his successes in the NHL are hugely overblown. He's coached 25 seasons in the NHL, and in 17 of those seasons, he either didn't make the playoffs or was knocked out in the first round. So I don't know. I've never been a fan of that style of coaching. I've never been a fan of him as a coach. So I guess in that sense, I'm biased. But I don't like that kind of coaching. I never have, and I don't really understand why the NHL has this tradition of coaches who coach that way and recycling coaches who coach that way. As long as he's on the starting lineup submitted, it doesn't matter if he's starter or backup. There you go, Entertep. There's your answer. My guess would be that he has to be on the ice. A goalie usually doesn't get a game played when not on the ice. They don't say day of service. I think that if he's on the roster, I think he's probably good. I don't know. I would expect that Entertap's correct. I suspect he's looked it up. And again, I don't know whether that should be a sticking point. Certainly, they weren't afraid to. They weren't afraid of that when it came to Lane Hudson. They weren't afraid of that when it came to Sean Farrell. I think Sean Farrell, they burnt the first year of his ELC. Trying to think if there's any others who they did that with. I'm not sure if there is. You've been watching, Josh Anderson. James says, I've been loving watching Andy play. Anderson's been a pleasure to watch. Right, he's got a ton of, underlying skills and talents. Mentally, I think he struggled last year to sort of understand where he fit on the roster and where, what he had to do in order to be the best version of himself. And I think that this year he went into the season with a different attitude and a different approach. We talk about Marty St. Louis and how he is with the younger players, but I think Marty St. Louis had a huge impact on Josh Anderson as well. And, making him understand what his, best role and best contribution would be to the team. And, he's gone out and adopted that and adapted his game in a great way. Like his game is awesome. Like he's contributing in ways that he never did before. Like, they took him off the power play and they put him on the penalty kill. So he's doing completely different things. If you remember, Habs had to play Charlie Lindgren to burn a year of his ELC. I don't fully remember that PLW, but I'll take your word for it. Even if a backup goalie only plays a few minutes in a game or doesn't play at all, they will still have burned their ELC. Okay. I believe you. I believe Entertap is correct, but I'll do my own research afterwards. I'm sure Entertap is quoting from a source somewhere. But yeah. How about the A-team, guys? You want to have a look at the A-team for tonight? Let's check that out. We've only had really one guess so far as to the A-team. If you're over there on TikTok, guys, feel free to come over and join us on YT. Of course, you can ask us questions. There's Jimmy Snuggerud making his debut for the St. Louis Blues. You can certainly ask us questions over there on TikTok, but if you want to pop over on YT, guys, we certainly would enjoy your support over here, and you would be able to see the graphics for the A-team here and check out the show. It'd be awesome if you'd come over, join the club. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. I just see that 15th subscribe just came in. But Thoughts on the A-team, guys? Here we go. We're going to publish. We're going to hit this button right now. Actually, I'm going to... Boom. There's your A-team, guys. Lane Hudson, Brendan Gallagher, Jaden Struble, and Nick Suzuki, of course. And Nick Suzuki is in that last spot, not because he is the fourth star, but because his heroics came later in the game. He was the last addition to the A-team. He was the last guy added to the list. So, what do you guys think of the A-team, guys? Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about why I chose who I chose. Lane Hudson, again, I think realistically at this point we can almost pencil him in on the A-team just about every single night. Offensively, defensively, his contributions are beyond impressive. You know, there's a fight. VL and McGrath. Body punches. You know, he's just every night his contributions. Tonight he obviously had the 3 assists. And of course you're not going to give us any of those stats. Tonight, let's just see here. I got to go to here. Why does it say he had 2 assists? Did they take one of his assists away from him? Just looking at natural stat trick here, guys, for the stats on the game tonight, and for whatever reason, it has Lane Hudson with only 2 assists. Oh, there we go. It's changed now. 3 points, 3 shots, 1 individual, 0.12 individual expected goals, 5 individual chances. Yeah, pretty special game from Lane Hudson. Again, I think you can pencil him in pretty much on any game. Anderson, obviously, I agree, Billy D. He could definitely have been on there tonight. Brendan Gallagher, another really good game for Gallagher tonight. His underlying numbers were also really quite impressive. Expected goals for percentage tonight for Gallagher. Where are they here? Expected goals for percentage for Gallagher. Second on the team at just about 80%. He was on the ice for 9 scoring chances for and only 3 against. And he was on the ice for 5 high danger chances for and 0 against. So again, that's pretty impressive numbers for him. Anytime you're on the ice for 5 high danger chances for your team and you don't give up any, you've had a pretty good game. Jaden Struble, he's obviously benefited greatly from being able to play with Lane Hudson of late, but again, he had the best expected goals for percentage on the team tonight. His ice time was less than it's been lately. He only had a little over 11 minutes of ice time, but again, expected goals for percentage of 81.72. Just another good performance for Jaden Struble and Nick Suzuki, of course. The heroics at the end of the game, the game tying goal in the final moments, and then the game winner in overtime. It's pretty hard to overlook all of that. What was Hudson tonight? Plus minus. So Hudson's plus minus was a +3 tonight. I would invite you guys to have a quick look, as Entertap was talking about earlier, the stats regarding Lane Hudson's plus minus. A lot of the Lane Hudson haters will point to the fact that he's not very good defensively and that his plus minus is not ideal. His plus minus on the season is currently -9, but 12. He's a -12 when it comes to empty net goals. Right. So if you take away the fact that he was on the ice for 12 empty net goals against, you're talking about a guy who is a +3 on the season. And then you compare him to a guy like Jake Sanderson, who all of the Ottawa Senators fans will insist is a much better defenseman. Jake Sanderson is a -15 on the season. Now, I don't know what his empty net goal situation is, and I'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty confident that he hasn't been on the ice for 12 empty net goals against. So not only is Lane Hutson head and shoulders above Jake Sanderson offensively, he's also a better defensive defenseman already in the NHL than Jake Sanderson. Habs going to make the playoffs. How do I feel? I'd say they're probably a little better than 50-50 right now, I would say. Would be the odds, Jake, if I were to put a number on it. So what are your guys' thoughts on the A-team, guys? You agree, disagree? Josh Anderson, I agree, is a guy who probably could be on the list. I'm not sure who I would take off in favor of Anderson. Gallagher and Anderson both had pretty good games. I chose Gallagher just because his numbers were better. But PLW, this is what I get from AI. In 2016, Charlie Lindgren, a free agent coming off his NCAA career, signed a contract with the Montreal Canadiens, and the Canadiens allowed him to burn the first year of his entry-level contract, meaning he played in the NHL that season rather than the AHL. Yeah, again, the only question I have, PLW, is whether or not that entry-level contract would have been burned, whether he was the backup or the starter. And again, I don't even know the scenario. I don't know whether he got the start, and I assume from what you're saying that he did. But I don't know what the scenario was there. I mean, I know for like Lane Hutson, he played the last 2 games of the season against Detroit last year, and that burned his first year of his ELC. So again, I don't know that it would seem weird to me that would be the sticking point for either Fowler or the Canadiens. I also don't know whether or not it means that if Fowler comes up and signs an NHL contract and burns a year of his ELC, does he have to stay with the Canadiens until the end of the Canadian season before he can join Laval? Right? Like, would he be able to come up, play or back up 1 game and then go down to Laval, or would he have to stay with the Canadiens until the end of the season and then go down to Laval? And again, I don't even know if he's allowed to do that. Right? I don't know. I don't even know if he's allowed to do that. So if they sign him to an NHL contract and burn that first year of his ELC, does he then have the ability to go down to the American Hockey League for the playoffs? Interesting questions. If that's the case, if he's not able to, then I would certainly, the Canadiens would certainly be well. What's the right word? It would be the smartest move, I think, for the Canadiens to sort of impress upon him that the best thing for Fowler's development right now would be for him to join the Laval Rocket. I think we can all agree on that, right? I mean, does anybody disagree with that? Like that the best thing for Fowler right now would be for him to join Laval, to finish out the season in Laval, and to be the backup to Caden Primo through the playoffs. I think that's clear now. Like, that's not to say that I don't think he, deserves to have his, a year of his ELC, burnt. I don't have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, if that limits his ability to go to the AHL, then there's a problem. Let's watch the Laval Rocket highlights. There's a goal from Alex Barré-Boulet from Sean Farrell. And here is a goal from Florian Jacki. I'm not sure who the assist was on that. Here's a goal from Sean Farrell. Laval got outshot by a wide margin in this game. Oh, and it's 3-2 for Manitoba's making a comeback. There's 40 seconds left in the game. And they shots are 37-21. Laval takes it 3-2 over the Manitoba Mooses. Yeah, but again, PLW, I'm not sure if you're not listening to what I'm saying. If burning his ELC, right? If burning a year of his ELC means that Fowler can't then go and play in Laval, then you understand that that's an issue, right? Yes, you keep bringing up all these scenarios, PLW. I got it. I understand it. I understand what you're saying. What I'm telling you is that if it's a matter of choosing between whether he can play the rest of the season in the American Hockey League and burning his ELC, then I can definitely see the Canadiens' point in saying, it's much better for your development to go down and finish the rest of the season in Laval. That's the best thing for his development. And I don't think it's ideal for the Canadiens to have him come up and sit in the press box for the last 8 games of the season. And maybe, if the Canadiens, can manage to get to a point somewhere down the line where, they've clinched a spot in the playoffs and a game doesn't matter, you get him into a game and burn his ELC, then that's great. But as far as his development as a goaltender, it's far better for him to go to Laval and to play there. Like, it does absolutely nothing for his development for him to join the Montreal Canadiens. If he joins the Montreal Canadiens and is somehow allowed to burn that first year of his contract, then that's purely a cookie that they're giving him and an incentive for signing. It does nothing for his development. Like, there's nothing positive that could come out of him, even playing a game in Montreal. Drummondville 3, Halifax Mooseheads 1. Thought Gooley had a stronger game than Struble, but I can see that. Galley, I can see as well. I went with Monty because he kept him in the game. Yeah. Gooley played well tonight. I agree with that. I just thought it was hard to ignore Struble when his advanced numbers were the best on the team, even though he did have, less ice time. As far as, his expected goals for and his, high danger, all those numbers, 7-1. Who's that? That's Hudson. Yeah. Gooley looked good tonight. Gooley always looks good, right? All right, gang. What do we think? It's almost 12:30 here in Halifax. I think it's almost time to shut her down. Unless you guys have any other major topics of conversation that you want to get into. Montembeault could have been there too, Entertap. I don't really have any qualms about that. If you're not yet subscribed, guys, please tap the button down below. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. If you're watching on a replay, please do so. Like I said, we're trying to grow our community here. The more people we get, the better. We're trying to create a place where people can come and talk about the Canadiens, talk about hockey. We're trying to grow a community here where we can have intelligent conversations without having to deal with some of the lack of civility that comes on some of the other internet platforms. We're trying to give you guys that. I'm trying to give that to myself as well. I really enjoy doing this too. I do enjoy talking to you guys. C'est aussi un place bilingue. Alors, si vous voulez parler au sujet des Canadiens en français, c'est aussi une place pour vous. Si vous voulez nous joindre, être partie de la famille, vous pouvez souscrire. Le bouton est en bas, juste à côté. Alors, on vous invite de nous joindre et d'être partie de notre la famille Recliner Sports. If you want to ask your questions in French, if you want to ask your questions in English, I'm certainly able to and perfectly willing to respond to your questions in either language. Again, I think that if we're going to be Montreal Canadiens fans, we should be prepared to speak either language. So, again, I'm happy to do that for all of you if it comes to that. Anyways, guys, if you haven't yet hit the thumbs up, please do so, whether you're watching live or on a replay. Like, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. Please do so. Help us grow, help us get bigger. We do appreciate your support. I thank you guys all for being here tonight. Not the biggest turnout of all time, but we got lots of thumbs up here tonight. Entertap, PLW, Larry was here earlier, all the regulars. Thanks so much, guys. I don't know who's still watching. I see 10 of you are still in the room here somewhere. So I do appreciate all of you. Thank you so much, guys, for giving me a place where I can come after the games and talk to you about what I think about the game and hear what you guys have to say about it. There you go, Billy D. I didn't go so long tonight that you had to leave before it was over. So that's especially on a weekday. But no, I appreciate all of you. I do enjoy this, of course. This is something that I look forward to being able to do after the games. I obviously enjoy watching the games, but being able to talk to you guys afterwards is pretty fun too. So that's it for tonight. Montreal Canadiens with another big win. They sweep the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers with a 3-2 overtime victory. Nick Suzuki plays hero with a tying goal in the dying seconds of regulation, and then a overtime winner wraparound goal in the first 30 seconds of the overtime. The Canadiens are still in a wild card spot. They have a 2-point lead over both the Rangers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. There are 8 games left in the regular season, and the Canadiens' schedule gets a little bit easier. That's not to say it's going to be easy, and certainly, they're not going to be able to slack off in any way. But yeah, it should be an interesting 2 weeks between now and the end of the season, and it'll be interesting to see where the Canadiens go. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate all of you, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. We will see you on Thursday's game. I think they play Thursday against the Bruins. Or is it Friday? Thursday, I think. Anyways, either way, guys, I will see you after the next game. We're on live about 10 minutes after the game ends, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great night. Peace out. See you on Run with Kings. Have a good one, man.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front. Docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.